pervasive that can be, I think was really, really clear in this book. And just how much, like, hatred can drive people apart. I don't know, that feels really basic, but and turn people who you think you know into you know, people that you don't know, I guess. And kind of all of the roles that different people play in power structures, and how kind of power structures that are created by women are so different, like, than power structures that are led by men. And just the story truly of their survival too is so amazing. And I don't know, combined with the, I don't know, kind of the mystical aspects of it as well. I don't know, it was a really, like, chilling book, ultimately. And I think that this was a moment for me, which was an embarrassing moment, and I think I mentioned this before, that I knew that there were, like, witch trials. I've known that for a long time, but I always thought that it was, like, because of actual witchcraft. And I realized that I've never really, like, since learning about witch trials when I was, like, 11 or 10, and then till now, so, like, 17 years in between, I hadn't really thought a lot about the witch trials, you know? But then, like, reflecting and being like, oh, like, in my mind, I think I just always kept it as, like, because there were witches. But, like, no, it was because they wanted to persecute women who weren't, like, acting the way women should. That was just, like, really amazing to me to, like, it feels like a really dumb realization to have at the ripe age of 27, but, like, I'm gonna be honest about it. It's kind of like recently, I don't know if you guys watched Zaboomafoo when you were a kid. I watched Zaboomafoo when I was a kid. Maybe that dates me just a little bit, but recently I was a little high, let me be clear, but we were watching a documentary. We were watching the Obama documentary. Do you guys know there's, like, a national parks documentary that Obama narrates? It's fantastic. It's a really great, like, if you are a person who likes to get a little high and, like, watch a movie, it's a really good one to watch with your friends. But we were watching it, and suddenly there was the kind of marmot, the kind of monkey that Zaboomafoo was up on the screen, and I realized in that moment, and maybe this was also aided by the substance, but that I just realized in that moment that Zaboomafoo couldn't talk. And, like, not that I had thought all those years, I'd been actively thinking, oh, Zaboomafoo can talk, but, like, I just hadn't even considered it. I hadn't, like, reflected on my childhood understanding of Zaboomafoo until I saw the real monkey and was like, wait, it can't talk. This is turning into me sounding really dumb on the internet, but let's get back to the book. Let me read you the first like, chapter, almost the introduction, because it's really beautiful, and I think that you'll get the vibe. Okay. Vardo, Finnmark, northeastern Norway, 1617. Last night, Maren dreamt a whale beached itself on the rocks outside her house. She climbed down the cliff to its heaving body and rested her eye against its eye, wrapped her arms around the great stinking swell. There was nothing she can do for it but this. The men came scrambling down the black rock like dark, swift insects, glinting and hard-bodied with blades and sides. They began to swing and cut before the whale was even dead, it bucking, and all of them grim and holding like nets tight about a shoal. Her arms growing long and strong around it, so wide and fierce she held it, until she didn't know if she was a comfort or a menace and didn't care, only watched its eye with her eye not blinking. Eventually it stilled. Its breath is, the story is told from the point of view of like, okay, you know, in like Hallmark holiday movies where like the guy goes to the small town and like falls in love with a little shopkeeper or whatever, and he has a girlfriend in the city, and she's like so invested in her career and is like a city girl and is like, you know, kind of a shark or whatever, and he like is also that same way, but then he like learns to love country life through the like girl he falls in love with in the Hallmark holiday movie, you know? And then he like calls his girlfriend in the city and is like, I'm breaking up with you, and she like doesn't cry. So the book is told from the point of view of the girlfriend in the city. Like the main character is that girl, and she has been dumped multiple times before for small town girls who her partners have like fallen in love with when they've gone like home to their small town or like had to go somewhere for work. Anyway, I'll read you the back. Nora Stevens' life is books. She's read them all, and she's not that type of heroine. Not the plucky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent and her beloved little sister Libby. Which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August when Libby begs her for a sister's trip away, with visions of a small-town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine in her own story. But instead of picnics and meadows or run-ins with a handsome country doctor or bulging four-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lostra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute if not for the fact they've met many times and it's never been cute. If Nora knows she's not an ideal heroine, Charlie knows he's nobody's hero. But as they are thrown together, oh my god, I'm like literally blushing. This book was so good. But as they are thrown together again and again in a series of coincidences no editor worth their salt would allow, what they discover might just unravel the carefully crafted stories they've written about themselves. Oh, this book is so good. Okay, so first of all, like low-key enemies to lovers. And if y'all know, I love an enemies to lovers story. And at the time of reading this was very intertwined in a slight enemies to lovers storyline myself. This book is so funny. It was such an easy, like light read. But I also felt like the story, like the backstory was very well developed. And yeah, just all the characters were like a little bit caricatured, but then also really relatable. Like I am by no means a type A Nora Stevens, how you say, but like I totally related to her, and like, oh god, also just like the like banter between her and Charlie Lostra was so hot. I'm a Gemini Venus. I love banter. I love like witty, incisive, like dialogue as a means of flirtation, you know. And this book gave it in spades. So yeah, highly recommend. Also, it's saucy as all get out. Yeah, and there's so many like good storylines all at the same time happening in this book, and I just like, I love it. It's very romantic. It's very sweet. But like a very good summer read in my opinion. Okay, the next book I read on recommendation of Fleur. This book she has mentioned on her channel, and she suggested to me. This book is called Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson. Oh my god. It's like a novella. It's quite short. It's like maybe 200 pages. Maybe. It's so beautiful. I feel like I alternated this month between like reading heavy, light. I'm back on a heavy book now, so. But I wouldn't say this book is necessarily heavy. It just requires kind of a different kind of attention than like a book lover's book, if you will. But this book is a love story about two young Black British people, told from the perspective of like the main character is a guy, and they're both like artists, and I don't lyrical as well. It really ties in like aspects of music and rhythm and kind of like the cadence of song and poetry and rap and like prose. I don't know, it's amazing. He in the novel mentions a lot of black artists and creatives, and mentions one of my favorite authors in this book. I was really like, I almost DM'd my favorite author. His name is Caleb Azumah Nelson, and he writes like music criticism and also poetry. Amazing, like very, very talented writer. And I almost like DM'd him on Instagram and was like, have you read this book? Because I was like, if he like, I'm sure that he has, but I just was like, I wanted to like hype it up to him, because it felt so like in the same kind of genre. And then he mentions like the author, Caleb Azumah Nelson, mentions Hanif Abdurraqib in the book, and I freaked out. You know, I had a like very full circle moment. But I'll read you the inside flap in any case. In a crowded London pub, two young people meet. Both are black British. Both won scholarships to private schools where they struggled to belong. Both are now artists, he a photographer, she a dancer, and both are trying to make their mark in the world mark in a world that by turns celebrates and rejects them. Tenderly, they fall in love, but two people who seem destined to be together can still be torn apart by fear and violence, and over the course of a year they find their relationship tested by forces beyond their control. Narrated with deep intimacy, Open Water is at once an achingly beautiful love story and a potent insight into race and masculinity that asks what it means to be a person in a world that sees you only as a black body, to be vulnerable when you are only respected for strength, to find safety in love only to lose it. With gorgeous, soulful intensity and blistering emotional intelligence, Caleb Azumah Nelson gives a profoundly sensitive portrait of romantic love in all of its feverish waves and comforting beauty. This is one of the most essential debut novels of recent years, heralding the arrival of a stellar and prodigious young talent. Caleb Azumah Nelson is a British-Ghanaian writer and photographer living in southeast London. His writing has been published in the White Review and Litro. He was a finalist for the BBC National Short Story Award, and his photography won the Palm People's Choice Award. Open Water is his first novel. Oh my god. This book is amazing. I also am now wondering, because like the main character is also a photographer, I'm wondering how much of this is like a little autobiographical. But it's a beautiful love story. If you love falling in love, if you love a crush, it catalogs that experience so beautifully. It talks about like death and loss, which felt really apropos just given the events in my life over the past month. And also talks about like race and like a lot about masculinity as well, which was so painful to read about, truly, in the face of this beautiful love story, and the way that like expectations of men really damage intimacy, even though like the main character has this deep capacity for intimacy, as he like writes. I don't know, this book just really like touched me deeply. There were so many parts of it that I just like wanted to save in my soul forever. God, I like literally every page there were like things I was underlining, because this book is beautiful. And one of my favorite parts, or one of the parts that's feeling most relevant right now, is that at one point the two main characters are like in conversation in letters, and it's right after the main character's grandmother has died, and they keep saying like the repeating phrase is "words fail us always," and I've really just been feeling that in the wake of my grandmother's death. That words just fail us in the face of incredible grief. so she does, like, competes in this or participates in this competition. And in that, guys, it kind of gave me like Hunger Games vibes, a little bit of like her competing, and she has to like keep her identity a secret, and there's lovers, and she's in love with 2 different people, and yeah, there's like magic, lots of good vibes. I'll read the back because I feel like I'm not describing it super well. In a land without magic, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She has no love for the vicious king who rules from his throne of glass, but she has not come to kill him. She has come to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 murderers, thieves, and warriors in a competition, she'll be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. Her name is Kalena Zerdothian. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Celaeene. Wait, no, what? Celaena. And like I kept saying Kalena in my head, but like also maybe like Selena. Anyway, yeah, there you go. I think I was calling her Kalena. I don't know. This is something that happens to me with ADHD. If you also have ADHD, let me know if this happens to you. If I can't pronounce a name in a book, I get really wrapped on the axle. There's another character in this book his name is Chal, which I want to pronounce like chaos, but with an L, so like kale, but then also like jowl, but jowl sounds worse than like kale. But I would always like choose somewhere in the middle while I was reading, like I would say it out loud in my head. Maybe you're not supposed to read words out loud in your head, I don't know, whatever. Okay, her name is Kalena Zerdothian. The crown prince will provoke her, the captain of the guard will protect her, and a princess from a faraway country will befriend her. But something rotten dwells in the castle, and it's there to kill. When her competitors start dying mysteriously one by one, Kalena's fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys her world. Thrilling and fierce, A Throne of Glass is the first book in the #1 New York Times bestselling series that has captivated readers worldwide. Anyway, it was very good. Like, the writing was something to write home about, obviously. I don't know why I say obviously, like, the writing left much to be desired in my opinion, but the story was really good. Like, the prose, I mean, like, when I say the writing, I mean, like, the story was really good, but there were definitely moments where I was like, that wasn't a good sentence, you know? But I also feel generally like reading this kind of book, like, sometimes having, like, it not be super prosaic, like, super, like, beautifully written and, like, evocative is, like, helps the story go faster and just, like, move through it better. So, I don't know, I used to be really pretentious about, like, what I would read and be like, oh, I'd never read that, but, like, it's a good story and I've been enjoying it, and I just got the second one, so I'm really excited to read that as well. So I also wanted to talk about my June TBR, or like what I'm reading right now. So I just started The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. I don't know a lot about Octavia Butler, but I know that she's a very well-regarded Black feminist author who writes a lot of dystopia and like kind of science fiction. But I have heard her name and about this book forever. And I saw it at the bookstore the other day. I was at Powell's in Portland, and it was used and it was inexpensive, and I was like, great, let's go. So I'm really excited to finish this book. I'm not very far in. But it's a little chilling because it takes place in 2024. It was written in 1991, I think. Anyway, but like, it's scary how accurate her portrait of the world is. Like, obviously the world is very different, like, in this book than it is in real life, but a lot of the themes and thematic things just feel really on the nose. We are memories of this broken world in her journal. Then, one terrible night, everything alters beyond recognition, and Lauren must make her voice heard for the sake of those she loves. Soon her vision becomes reality, and her dreams of a better way to live gain the power to change humanity forever. I also think this is a beautiful cover. There's a quote from Gloria Steinem on the back that says, "If there's one thing scarier than a dystopian novel about the future, it's one written in the past that has already begun to come true. This is what makes Parable of the Sower even more impressive than it was when first published." Yeah. So I've got a couple of other things on my TBR. This book is Couplets by Maggie Milner, a love story, and I don't know a lot about this book other than it is kind of queer. Flora also recommended this to me, and I don't actually know. I was in the poetry section, and I think it is poems. Yeah, it is. But I think it's called Couplets, a love story. Oh my god, okay. The first quote on the inside says, "I want to throw this book across the room and rage at how good it is. Thrilling in its sincerity and intelligence, Couplets gives us everything. Artistry, pathos, hilarity, style, and the sense, rare and wondrous, of a beautiful mind at work." Oh, here we go. A woman lives an ordinary life in Brooklyn. She has a boyfriend. They share a cat. She also has dreams of being seduced by a throng of older women, of kissing a friend in a dorm room closet, but the dreams are private, not real. One night she meets another woman at a bar, and an escape hatch swings open in the floor of her life. She falls into a consuming affair, into queerness, polyamory, kink, power and loss, humiliation and freedom. Maggie Milner's captivating, seductive debut is a love story in poems that explores obsession, gender identity, and the art and act of literary transformation. Couplets chronicles the strictures, and pitfalls of relationships, the mirroring, the pleasing, the small jealousies and disappointments, and how the people we love can show us who they truly are. Oh my god, I'm so excited to read this. Happy Pride to all who celebrate. Though if you're not celebrating, I feel like we have an issue. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I then got the second book in the Throne of Glass series. This is called Crown of Midnight. I don't know what happens in it. Honestly, I'm probably not going to read the back because I just want to leave it, let it be an unfolding mystery. But I'm really excited to continue this series. I haven't really read a book in series recently that I've been excited about. So, oh my gosh, listen, I love a fantasy novel with a map. Goddamn. And the last book that I got that will truly round out my TBR is an absolute fucking tome. I realize this is ambitious for a girl who has just started reading more prolifically, but this book was so well reviewed at Powell's. This is called The Priory of the Orange Tree. I think that's how you say that word. The Priory. I know there's something that's like a priori, but maybe that's Latin. I think that's like a legal term, maybe, or whatever. The Priory. I don't know. I like the word. I like saying it like priori, so that's what I'll say. But if you know that I'm wrong, just don't say anything. But it's a beautiful book. But it's many pages. It has like 700 pages. Bold if I finish. Big book. Big chunky book. But it's a brilliant, diverse, feminist, subversive, thought-provoking, and masterfully told. The Priory of the Orange Tree is epic fantasy 7 books released in succession, but like, are they as high quality as like one tome, you know, like this one? I don't know. And I was just thinking about that and how it kind of like degraded the quality of my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about it a little bit, which like, I don't actually know if that's how books work. I don't know if that's how she writes. Like, I don't mean to shit talk Sarah J Maas, because like, what beef do I have with her? She wrote a book that I liked. Like, I don't know, but anyway, it's just interesting to like pick up a tome like this and be like, but this girl just like first take Drake, like 700 pages, but I haven't yet read this book, so like, and if this book was split up into 3, it would probably be like way less intimidating, but like, is each third of it like enough of a story, you know? Anyway, those are just the things that are